and start us. So you may have gotten a little message saying that we're recording. Welcome everybody to June, one of our editions for this month to celebrate Pride. I am Sandy Zanino, and I am the founder of the Automotive Inclusion Council. So I'm going to get to where I'm supposed to be and start this little slideshow here. So we're celebrating Pride this month. The Inclusion Council, we're actually in our second year, and we've had some evolution. And because we are a group of organizations who may be in competition with each other, we keep very close to our antitrust guidelines. And so basically, nobody's selling anything to anybody. The topics that we're talking about pertain to diversity, equity, and inclusion. We'll share some best practices. We also will have, like today, some amazing outside speakers. And one thing, and I think I might have the wrong slide show up, but it all has a lot of the same stuff. I haven't updated some things. So CADIA, if any organization is looking for some certification, some education for someone within their organization in order to bring diversity, equity, and inclusion into your organization, CADIA has a really great accelerator program. So it's a 13-week program. It's not like a 5-day, boom, you're a certified DEI practitioner. It's pretty intense. So you'll get that website when I send everything out. I want to welcome any members. This is a page of our members, and we'd love to add your name to this as well. As you can see, we've got some pretty amazing companies. TrueCar, Cox Automotive, ADCO, Women in Automotive, CDK, we're lighting a candle for them, Premier Automotive Group, and OneView. Jessica she helps me with some technical things. So you may see some pieces of video that Jessica is helping me do that. So, and I really want to welcome anyone that this is your first time at one of our online events. A little bit about the council. So the reason that we started it, we're a group of organizations that really recognize that the three things that we seem to talk about in automotive over and over and over, at least since I've been here, and that's been since 1998, is high turnover, the gender gap, and our ability to attract emerging talent. So the needle never seems to really move significantly on these three things, and we treat them as if they're individual problems, when really our belief is what they are symptoms of a collective culture that has been unable to embrace inclusion and what that means. And so if we continue doing that, that's the definition of insanity, right? So I would like to bring a little sanity through the council, and maybe we can together make some change. We're working on doing some research. We're getting the word out. Outreach is really important for people to hear, see, touch, and connect, right? Heart to heart. And so we do things like we're doing today. We have amazing outside speakers. Sometimes we do some webinars. Later on this week, we're going to have a panel, and it's growing, right? We are growing, and we do also want to do some research. We're still in the figuring out stage of how do we do that, and who do we do it with. This talent acquisition study idea that I had, it may not be happening because I'm trying to get in touch with a group. They did a 3-year study they already did it. So I don't want to recreate the wheel, but I want to get in touch with them and kind of carve out their automotive side. Membership is, it's pretty simple. It's an annual membership. It's $1,500 annually, and that gives you 2 seats and a voice on the council. The council itself meets quarterly, while there are events that happen every single month, 1, sometimes 2. But the council itself meets quarterly for planning and what are we going to do and give me ideas and I have ideas, but I don't have no idea how to do it. From the beginning, I always said, I don't want to be queen of the council, so I want our voice to be collective. I mentioned that later on this week, we're having a panel. So on International Pride Day on the 28th, we have a panel with our very own Angela Rizzo, who is here or was here. Yeah, with VinQ and Kathleen Long, Michael Hopkins, and Tiana Mick. So it is sure to be a really, really lively council, and we're gonna have a lot of fun. So I invite y'all to check that out, but for today. So let's get to the content today. Lisa Koenecke, I'm pronouncing your name correctly, right? I forgot that.
Yep.
Who I've had this book now for, it's getting close to 5 years, right? I got this book, and it's an amazing book, and Lisa's been on my radar, and last year we talked, and this year I got to her early. So it is my pleasure to introduce to everybody Lisa Koenecke, and I'm going to turn it over. Lisa has some slides as well, I believe, and that's enough out of me. I'm going to sit back and listen.
Well, that is wonderful. Thank you, Sandy, for all of that. Let me share. Hopefully you're seeing what I'm sharing with you. Excellent. Right on. Well done. So before I even begin, I put into the chat school counselors. So let me tell you that, yep, DEI, Lisa K, your everyday gay, author, TED Talk, I've done all of that. And I was a school counselor. And dear council of all things automotive inclusionary world, your school counselor in your high schools and dare I say middle schools are the gatekeepers to get the word out, to change that gender gap, to change that pipeline, to do all of those things. So I'm going to do a very, very brief commercial. So if you have the opportunity in your area, whether you are in South Africa, whether you are in Florida or South Carolina, or where I'm from, Wisconsin, if you reach out to your local high school, that school counselor, they have career days. They have little portfolios that 8th graders do, as well as usually juniors in high school do, as to what do you want to do after high school. And if we can get especially girls excited about, STEM and, getting dirty, getting into the cars, but there's more than that. There's HR, there's marketing, there's accounting in the whole automotive industry. I know my dad owns a car dealership, so there's more than just, the mechanics in there. And for you folks, it's knowing computers right now is a big thing to all of this. And you can even go into the clubs. They'll have future business leaders of America, and talk about sales. That is my little school counseling commercial for all of you. And I also have served on the National Board of Directors of the American School Counselor Association. What? So I'm just telling you that school counselors are your gateway to your future. Sandy, what do you think about that?
I think it's awesome. I was getting ready to type it into the chat that school counselors are the gateway, and it'd be a way for us to connect with emerging talent.
Yeah, and that's free. That's not even a part of this presentation. So if I can help with anything in that, just reach out to your high school counselor. They'll be able to help you. Okay, so back to this. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Whether you're watching this live or watching the recording, I did share with a couple of people. This is a Wisconsin accent. I moved here a year ago with my wife. And I'm in South Carolina right now. So again, might have a Southern drawl. I don't know yet, but I'm just letting you know, no need to adjust your volume. And I did write a book, and it's so fun that Sandy mentions that because I probably should update it. Some of the things in it, things have ebbed and flowed in the past years since I have included it. So quick background, 25 years as a camp director, YMCA and Girl Scouts. 12 years middle and high school counselor. Remember middle school? Super fun. Sandy and I talked about that. Then I was a professor for 5 years, training the next generation of school counselors. And then here's what fun. Here's the other thing that's fun. I was like, okay, I need to go and get a certificate in becoming a certified diversity practitioner because I'm going to be a professional speaker. So I did my TED Talk in, let's see, February of 2020. I am going to retire and be so rich because March of 2020, I started my brand new presentation. I'm going to be, so famous. Yeah, that was a dramatic pause. Remember what happened March of 2020? Yeah, the world shut down. So, but the one great thing that came out of that is I went to Cornell University for my certificate in my CDP, and I learned about a land acknowledgement. And so this again goes out to all of you. You are all over the world right now. And my land acknowledgement is paying homage to the people who have come before me. So because you are in all different places around the world, again, I'm coming to you from the land of the Yamasee, as well as the Gullah Geechee people. So I'm kind of that very, very bottom. South Carolina looks like a strawberry. So I'm way, way down there in the Hilton Head area, almost Florida, almost Georgia. And the wonderful thing about the Gullah Geechee people is these are the people who brought rice to the States. So if you enjoy rice, this is the area from which it has come. So that's the Gullah Geechee people, very, very excited about that. And when it comes to thinking about, all things, not just LGBTQ plus, but that intersectionality, and Sandy, I know that you are a great proponent of that. As you're planning your calendars for celebrations moving forward, October 11th is usually Indigenous Peoples Day. So rather than calling it Columbus Day, now again, this is in the States. My apologies if you are joining us from another country or watching the recording from another country, you have Indigenous people, this I know. So think about whatever the celebration might be for you folks as well. So then when we're talking about Indigenous friends and intersectionality, there is another term that I would like to introduce you to, and it's called Two-Spirit. And so with Two-Spirit, for the sake of time, I'm not going to play this YouTube video, but if you want to look it up on your own, you can. This is my friend Geo Neptune, and Geo Neptune explains what Two-Spirit is. So again, it's someone who is an Indigenous person, as well as somewhere in the LGBTQ plus, just rolls right off of my tongue. I'll get to all of those letters in just a moment for all of you. And this, my friends, thank you, Lillian, I heart you as well, is a Two-Spirit flag right there with the eagle feathers in the middle. So again, sake of time, I'm not going to play that for you, but here's what's fun. Sandy, just because you're so cool and swell, I'm going to, and thank you for the reminder about the land acknowledgement. I'm going to put the YouTube link in the chat. Please don't watch it while I'm here, because I also taught graduate students. So I'm just saying, I know how things work. Okay, so let's go ahead, and that is our land acknowledgement. The other thing about Indigenous Peoples Day is on October 11th. Sometimes it also falls on National Coming Out Day. So if you don't know what coming out is, if someone tells you that they're gay, trans, maybe they'll come out as pescatarian. All you have to do is say thank you. Thank you for trusting me. I've never had anyone come out as pescatarian, but I just thought that I would throw that in there because I know you joined this presentation today hoping that there'd be a picture of a beaver and a lady in a tiara. You are welcome, my friends. So I think I mentioned that I grew up in Wisconsin, Reedsburg, Wisconsin, to be exact. It's kind of the center of the state. Our school mascot, we were the Beavers. Guess who was the school mascot? I was, that's right. I was the Beaver mascot. And to the right of the Beaver, Lisa Koenecke, circa 1987, homecoming queen. Oh, yes, royalty in the home. There we are, right there. Thank you. Thank you very much. So, I got called Beaver Queen, Queen Beaver, doesn't matter. It all works for me. But growing up in this small town, there were the population was 5,000, one stoplight, one fast food restaurant. If you're familiar, you know what I'm talking about. And back then, the biggest difference growing up in Reedsburg, it's kind of still the difference. You were either Lutheran or you were Catholic. Sandy's shaking her head. I was raised Lutheran. I was forbidden to date a Catholic boy. But they never said anything about a Catholic girl. So I married her. So that's just super, super fun. So that brings us now to why we celebrate Pride Month. Again, maybe you're watching this in August, but June is Pride Month because on this date, June 28, 1969, and I'm glad that you're having your panel on that date, that is the anniversary of Stonewall. Well done, you. So what is that you ask? Well, in the 60s, it was still legal in the states, in the state of New York, for the police to raid a gay bar. And so on this night, June 28th, 1969, the Stonewall Inn was raided by the police. And the people who stood up and said, we're not going to take this anymore, were the people that I have pictured on the right. And the reason that I have these people pictured is they are known as, there's not a test, okay? So just know this. They are known as the QT BIPOC people. So queer, trans, Black, and Indigenous people of color. Again, a lot of letters in there. But I want to introduce you to Stormé de la Verre, who was assigned male at birth, was a drag king. So again, you might be calling them transvestites. We really don't use that term anymore. Trans is the appropriate term. And we also have in the middle Marsha P. Johnson, as well as Sylvia Rivera. And the last two that I speak of were really our grassroots moving forward to be able to say that as a land acknowledgement is for the land of the people who have come before me, I stand upon the shoulders of these wonderful people who did something so that I can talk to you and tell you all that I can in my knowledge to help you save lives. So we have a lot of letters on the screen. Just because I'm wearing orange does not mean that I'm intersex. It's just a fun way to show this to you. So you're probably familiar with lesbian, gay, bisexual, okay? It's who we are attracted to for the most part, okay? Orientations. And then I have two T's on here. I do have transgender and transsexual. Transsexual was a term when I started doing presentations 20 years ago that I would use. The best example for transsexual that I used back then was Chaz Bono, who was born Chastity Bono, to a musical duo known as Sonny and Cher, in case you're familiar with any. I know, thank you, Sandy. Yay, Gen X and other people ages. All right, so transsexual you might see in the movie Rocky Horror Picture Show. But again, trans, I've been given permission as a cisgender, I'll talk about that in a moment, to use trans is good. Then we have the Q's, I, A's, and P's. So queer. Now, when I was growing up, super derogatory. I don't really use queer because of my generation. And the best advice that I can give to you, my friends watching this, is that unless someone uses the term queer first, you don't use it. So you don't ask, would you like to be called queer? No, I mean, you could say, hi, I'm Lisa. My pronouns are she, her. You can ask somebody about their pronouns. If they don't want to talk about it, just smile and nod. That's all. That's the best advice that I can give to you. So again, younger generations are using queer as an umbrella. That's why it's LGBTQ. And the Q was added in 2016. Again, not a test. It's just a fun thing that I like to add into this. So again, if you want some more information, watch Queer Eye. It used to be Queer Eye for the straight guy. Now it's just Queer Eye. Fabulous show talking about how the queer community can help our allies and such. So L, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer. And now we're going to get into the the A's. I have the A's first. Okay. So LGBT, sometimes it's QIA, sometimes in Canada, you'll have the number 2 and the letter S for two-spirit. But let's talk about ACEs. Now, this is where you're like, ooh, I'm not sure. And that's okay. This is one of the newer terms that I just want to bring forward to folks. Okay. So if someone says that they are agender or asexual, aromantic, any of those fall kind of in this umbrella. We like umbrellas a lot, and we like including lots of different people. So, doing research on this, and I saw gray sexual, and I was like, oh, that's got to be me because I'm so old. No. So I'm just an elder, is who I am. But the thing with this, my friends, is when you're talking about that pipeline and attracting more talent into your world, it's just something that maybe the HR people at your site could learn a little bit more about. Now, not that this is just an HR thing, but that's usually kind of where it starts. Also in policies. So a whole lot more on that as well. So if someone says that they are, if they're agender, if they're ACEs, this is what that means. I also love just saying that you're an ally, and that's okay. That A can also stand for ally. Again, you're here or you're watching this presentation, so thank you for taking the time to save lives. Now we get into the I's. So intersex is the old hermaphrodite. So we don't say hermaphrodite any longer. We don't say he, she, or she, he, which is confusing because pronouns can be in that order. I know. Here's what I'll just take a step back. Someone who is intersex, okay, a baby is born, and it's hard to determine from the external genitalia as to how that doctor or doula is going to assign a sex, because sex is assigned at birth, gender is not. So a sex can be assigned either M for male, F for female, or on a birth certificate, the letter I. Okay, so that I is for intersex. So the main thing that I can tell you is that there are more babies that are born intersex than those who are born with cleft palates. So you might know someone who is intersex, or someone who is trans and they're transitioning. Here's the thing, my friend, just never ask anybody about their junk. Okay, that would be the main takeaway from today. Don't ask about junk and you should be okay. It is legal on a US passport for someone to have a gender marker X, and they don't have to show documentation. Now, I bring this up because you also might see it in driver's license, California and New York for sure, with gender markers on there. Now, if someone has a gender marker X, it does not mean that they're intersex. So it gets confusing, but just know that if someone has the gender marker X marked, they might be queer, they might be non-binary, they might be polyamorous. There are so many things that you can get into. Basically, you can just say, I'm an ally. How can I help support you? Again, legal documentations, this is going to be coming up. And the other reason that I bring this forward is as you are looking for your policies. Now, Sandy, this is not a mandate on you for this council. This can be years in the making as you're doing strategic planning and growing the council. Titles and honorifics might also include MX, which is known as mix. So I'm going to put that into the chat. Rather than someone saying that they are, oh, there's only one. I messed up. Ms., Mr., Mrs. Someone might use mix. Again, this doesn't, maybe they're widowed and they don't want you in their business. Maybe they're a widower. Probably not. But I'm just letting you know that someone who might be genderqueer, again, non-binary, they might use mix as a title or an honorific. And if you folks want to get ahead of the curve and have this in your registration forms, bravo, Bravo to all of you. Because this would be cool. If I go and my wife and I apply, we did recently buy a new truck. I won't say what brand because all of you are fabulous and I don't want everyone to fight over the $3.7 trillion in purchasing power that the gays have. Oh, what did I say? $3.7 trillion in purchasing power. Oh, hello, gays. Anywho, so when we went in, right, we want to be, you know, owner one, owner two, applicant one, applicant two. It's not a man-woman thing. It's not a Mr. and Mrs. thing necessarily, because maybe we're just shacking up together. You get the idea. So this is just something, again, to be thinking about in the future. And it would be cool too, if, you know, as people are applying, if they can see that they have mix as an option, you are going to be like so cool in their minds. I just can't even tell you. I'm going to pause there and see if there are any questions that anyone has, because I do tend to talk really quickly. So you can either come off mute, raise your little virtual hand if you're watching the recording. If you want to just send Sandy the question, you can in another time. Questions? We can also take questions later on as well. All right, fantastic. So, Sandy, go ahead, my friend.
Well, I was just going to comment really on the MX. That's new to me. Mix is so Mr., Ms.
Yep, or mix.
Or mix. That's new to me, and I think is really great for external customers as well. You know, anyways.
Yeah, no. And the fun thing, Sandy, about that, as well as, you know, I have a little bit on pronouns as well. If some people don't know what that is, that's fine. It's not that I am shoving anything down anyone's throat. It's just so affirming to us in our population that if we see that, we know that you are an ally, you are forward thinking, you are inclusionary, which I do believe is part of your title.
Later on, I may have some questions about pronouns and
Fantastic. Oh, I have a pronoun section, and then the free resource that I'm going to give you, Sandy, is going to blow your socks off. So,
oh, yay, thank you.
Yeah, it's great. Then we get into, my friends, the P. So LGBTQIA+, et cetera, et cetera. So the P is for pansexuality. And what I can tell you is that this is someone that cares about hearts and not parts. During the pandemic, I was a professor and I would do presentations. I've spoken in all 50 states. And it was so interesting that the intersectionality between our friends who are neurodivergent, that's our friends who are on the autism spectrum, came out as pansexual in just astronomical numbers. And so people would ask me, what is this? And so I think what it was is because our neurodivergent friends were safe behind their screens. They didn't have to deal with teasing, bullying. They were free to be their whole selves. And maybe part of that was pansexuality, that it doesn't matter if I'm straight, I can love someone who is bi, who is trans, who is demi, whatever it is. So it does get confusing, but I have a fun little video to share with you on pansexuality.
So, just to be clear, I'm a red wine drinker.
That's fine.
Okay, cool, but I only drink red wine.
Okay.
And up until last night, I was under the impression that you too only drank red wine. But I guess I was wrong.
I see where you're going with this. I do drink red wine, but I also drink white wine. And I've been known to sample the occasional rosé. And a couple summers back, I tried a Merlot that used to be a Chardonnay, which got a bit complicated.
Okay, yeah, so you're just really open to all wines.
I like the wine and not the label. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
This is just very new to me, so as long as you didn't roll over and cry yourself to sleep with regret, then we're good, right?
No, I absolutely did that. just wept for hours in the dark. I say we go with this one, it's the biggest.
So, Sandy, I didn't ask permission to play that, but I'm not advocating alcohol use, okay? And I didn't want to swear. But just letting you know that that is David, and he is from, I'll say it because you're adults, Schitt's Creek, okay, a TV show, and is pansexual, so likes the wine and not the label. And there's the YouTube clip if you want to use that. And Angela Rizzo, use that during your panel if you want to again. So there you go. And Sandy loves that.
I just might.
You absolutely can, my friend. Absolutely. So that's very fun. So again, pansexuality, just smile and nod, okay? And just say, that's great. Speaking of smiling and nodding, there are lots of different identity flags that are out there. One of the things that I can tell you is if you're an ally, one of the best things that you can do, my friend, is to have anything rainbow. So Sandy has, both of us have our filters on our little Zoom windows right there. We have our pronouns in our little windows. Yay! Oh, on your phone. Oops, totes, awesome. The other thing that I want to say is that, let's say I use bisexuality a lot in my examples. If you see someone, maybe they have a pin or a ribbon that is bisexual, does not always mean that they identify as bisexual. They might have a child or a sibling or a coworker, hint, hint, wink, wink, that they're just, wanting to be an ally for. So again, the best thing that I can say to you, my friends, is if you see something and you're not sure, like the non-binary flag and genderqueer, those kind of are two new ones that are out there. You can say, hey, that's a cool flag. Tell me about it. If they want to, they will. If they don't, they might want you to look it up on your own. Especially the younger that they are. Because I'm a Gen Xer, I'm 55, I'm Lisa K, your everyday gay. I'll be your gay Google. If you ask me questions, I absolutely will answer them. Sometimes the younger generations, they want us to know these things. It's okay to Google it. I do it all the time. And then I just wanted to show you how we've progressed, right? So we started out with the rainbow 1978, and now the latest one is 2021. I mentioned pronouns. And what I want to share with you now is a collaborative video that we have done with a credit union movement. Huge, huge fans. And Angela and panel, you can use this one if you want to as well. Now, I'm not saying that you don't have cool stuff, Angela, because you're a cool person, but just know that this is a video talking about pronouns.
Every day, our brain makes unconscious assumptions to help us make decisions. Many times, those assumptions help us move quickly through our day-to-day activities. They help us quickly recognize danger, social cues, and emotions. But they can also create assumptions that may be incorrect or harmful to those around you.
Recognizing how assumptions are not always correct helps the brain reorganize our unconscious decisions and helps us recognize people for their authentic selves. Understanding how assumptions can be made about gender and using the correct personal pronouns for each other can help us feel seen, supported, and understood, and help us create an inclusive environment for all.
When my pronouns are used incorrectly, I feel vulnerable and sometimes invisible. I am constantly evolving in my expression and understanding of myself and how I show up in the world. My name is Sam, and I've experienced gender and pronouns in different ways throughout my life. My pronouns are they, them, or he, him, in that order. As a transmasculine person, using the correct pronouns helps me feel seen for the person that I am today.
When my pronouns are used incorrectly, I feel discounted and disengaged from the conversation. As someone who identifies as genderqueer, non-binary, I've struggled with feeling seen and validated in both my personal and professional life. My name is Dan. Throughout my life, I've never felt like I fit into the box of male or female gender. My pronouns are they, them. Using pronouns that match my gender identity and gender expression help me feel supported by those around me.
When my pronouns are used incorrectly, I feel overlooked and misunderstood. Based on the way that I've presented throughout my life, my clothes, my hair, I've often been misgendered. And that creates an expectation that I have to look a certain way to demonstrate my gender and who I am as a person. My name is Lindsay, my pronouns are she, her, and when others use my pronouns correctly, I feel understood.
In an increasingly digital world, it's easy to make assumptions. And we often are missing that in-person element that helps us truly relate and connect with one another. Chances are, at one point in our lives, we've assumed gender or incorrectly used pronouns. If you don't know, ask. And if you make a mistake, correct yourself, move on, and get it right next time. My name is Brandy, and I passionately believe that all people deserve to be recognized as their authentic self. My pronouns are she, her. Sharing my pronouns and allowing others the space to share theirs will help create inclusion.
Understanding another person's experience may not be inherently easy, so here are some ways to avoid assumptions and be a better ally. When in doubt, share your pronouns first and open the door for others to share theirs. Add your personal pronouns to your email signature, LinkedIn account, or simply share an introduction when you're meeting someone new. These are just a few simple ways that you can demonstrate inclusion. Continue to learn and educate yourself about others' lived experiences and how using someone's correct pronouns can help them feel seen, supported, and understood.
Yay, credit unions. Sandy, come on back, please, if you are able. Hi.
Hi, I am here. For some reason, my internet is being weird, so that's why I turned off my camera. I love that video.
Yes.
I really do, and I probably will watch it again because sometimes, I guess, and this is really my question, and I'll just ask the question to you.
Yes.
What is the best way to respond to people who don't understand pronouns, and why they may want to use they, them, or use a different pronoun than what their eyes are telling them they want to use, and
Yep.
want.
Wonderful, wonderful questions. So I have, and you actually have this in your email signature as well, Sandy Zanino. I have Lisa Koenecke, and then I have she, her, and I think I changed it to from what's this to why this matters. And if you click on it, it takes you to pronouns.org. And so my friends, if you're watching the recording, pronouns.org will answer all of your pronoun questions. And Sandy, I'm not trying to, get away from your question. One of the things that is so important as we move forward, maybe it's going to be a coworker who is transitioning later in life when it's really scary. Maybe you're in a community where it's not safe. You might have, might be a coworker's family member who is going through all of this. So the best thing that I can tell you is that do your best. So do your best. If you mess up, say you're sorry. Okay. So my best example is that whenever I'm walking in a grocery store, and if you see me from behind, I'll have on sports clothing, usually a baseball hat, and I'm a big person. So I get called sir all the time from behind. When I turn around, there is nothing sir about the front of me. Okay. And so people will be like, oh, and I'll be like, that's okay. And I usually take off my hat and I say, I'm a girl with short hair. I don't throat punch them or anything like that. But the reason that it's so important is, let's think about emails as well. Rather than saying, dear sir or madam, okay, it could be dear colleague, to whom it may concern. If you are, let's say you're contacting someone named, ready for it, Chris, Terry, Pat, we don't know. And so it's hard to assume, right, that this person is this pronoun or that pronoun. And I will tell you that This is going to be a work in progress. If you're just starting here, great. Everyone is on their own journey. And the best thing that I can tell you is that in your workspace, in your community, whatever it is, please don't mandate that your staff, board of directors, volunteers, anyone in your council, don't mandate the use of pronouns because it might not be safe for someone. But the example that I use, Sandy, you're another great example. Sandy, I know boys that are named Sandy. I know boys that are named Dana. And so if we have, you know, the Chris and Terry, those are my two big ones. Although Terry with an I, it's usually a female, you get the idea. If people can put their pronouns there and just make it mainstream, I think that would be a great starting place. And the reason that I use my pronouns, she, her, is to affirm to my friends who are transgender, who are genderqueer, someone who isn't cisgender like me. So cis is Latin, CIS, and it's a prefix meaning on the same side. So I was assigned female at birth. I still identify as female. I don't want to be a boy. I just don't want to wear pink and makeup. Okay. So that's just where I fall into that. So Sandy, did that help answer the question, my friend? Okay, fantastic. And way more on pronouns.org. So that's a wonderful thing to do. We're not going to watch that again. Let's go to the next one. Because you are going to come across friends, if you haven't yet, who are non-binary. These are a lot of the terms in here. Now, if you haven't, that's okay. Okay, you're watching this recording right now. Eventually, if you are a nice person and people can talk to you, you'll meet someone. Maybe it could be a dog. That is a picture of my little puppy in the upper right-hand corner, and her name is Maddie. She was assigned female at birth. And when my wife and I take her out to do her business on her walks, she lifts her little girl leg and goes tinkle. So she's gender non-conforming, right? Maybe you have a male puppy in your world that squats and doesn't lift their leg. That's okay. Mother Nature says that that's just fine. So gender non-conforming, whatever it is, I guess the thing that I can say to you, my friends, is to just think about your policies. Are they open and welcoming? And by law, Title IX is in there. Title VII is in there. And so Sandy asked the questions about pronouns. Again, this can be, maybe you're thinking about this in 3 years from now, just as long as you're starting to think about it. I'm totally cool with that. And then I do have the mix in here as well. So again, it might not be a coworker. It might be a family member of a coworker. And here is the best free resource that I can give to all of you. If this is your big takeaway, other than not asking people about their junk, hoorah! This is a free resource that if you go to hrc.org, you do the www up ahead. And if you type in the Corporate Equality Index, it is free. This is a resource that will answer questions for you about how do I become the best place for LGBTQ plus people to work. Free, you don't have to do it, but this is, if you want to start somewhere, this is where I invite you to start. Again, it's free. It'll ask you questions about in your policies, do you enumerate out sexual orientation, gender identity, gender expression? If not, it's something that you can think about. Do you have all gender restrooms? Again, if you don't, I'm not mandating that you do, my friends. This is just a really great place to start mapping things out. So maybe you're going to have a staff meeting. Maybe you're going to start an ERG, which is an employee resource group, or an affinity group, anything along those lines. This can help with all of that, and it's free. That's what I love so much about it. So I'm open to questions. I'm here. Yes. Oh, hooray. So I understand also. So Sandy, I know that you're coming off. Folks, if you do need to go because you are on to another meeting. Fantastic. I am going to give all of you my email address. Sometimes you want to ask questions that aren't for general consumption, and I will keep them confidential. I am done now talking. Sandy, go.
Lisa, thank you for so much information. I'm really taking, I can't wait. Well, I have the slides and I will be sending the slides out because, you know, lots of times I consider myself pretty well versed, but I really learned a lot. And things that I'm gonna, useful things, right? Like actionable things. I love the Human Rights Campaign website. So Lillian, thank you. Lillian says that she learned quite a bit.
Stephanie
And
had to jump. Yep,
Stephanie-
absolutely.
and you know, so the video will go out, and Lisa, I just want to say thank you once again for taking your time today, giving us your knowledge and sharing your heart with us. For
Absolutely.
me in particular, I love that slide, the non-binary slide. You know, I shared with you earlier, you know, when my daughter was 14 or 15, she decided to have, you know, she came to me very serious, said, Mom,
Yeah.
I have something I need to talk to you about. And
Go ahead.
and she shared that she was non-binary.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, so that really helped me to understand her, you know, and anyway, so.
Yep. And I just put in the chat too, if you see the letters ENBY, that's how that is written out, not the letter NB. If that makes sense. Because if you just do the letter N and the letter B, that stands for not Black. And so that's why in the gay world, if you see ENBY, it is non-binary, but that's how we would say someone is NB.
Oh, thank you. See,
You're
yet
welcome.
another thing, the learning just doesn't stop.
Well, and it's going to continue too. Again, people are on different journeys and all sorts of things. So
And it's an evolution, right? I mean, I think it you know, it's an evolution.
absolutely.
So I'm gonna hit stop record and then